All right, and now we're back after getting all of the all of the fans and its stages cleaned up, and so all the hardware's here for that. So we're going to then begin the reassembly. Like I said, we made sure we put that rubber piece back on this bearing. So we'll insert that into the last stationary stage. And that's going to allow us to have, a place to put this. Because, I mean, sure, you can try to reassemble, the other pieces of it. But if you have nothing in the center to hold it in place, it's really kind of a pain in the ass. So we have that, like spacer washer type thing. So then we're going to put our first fan on. And then from there, we put our spacer, and now our first piece will go back on here. And I don't know if it really matters if the crimping spots are in the same place or not, but we'll just I just always like to put them back in the place, so we'll just go around it and just kind of press it back on. And now that that's back on, we put our fan back on, and we'll just give it a spin, making sure that nothing's rubbing. We got our nut. So at this point, we can tighten this down. There's no reason not to. So once again, we grab onto the silver part on the back of this, and we're just going to take our wrench, tighten this down, and we just give it a little spin. Okay, nothing's rubbing, and it's worth mentioning, since it has no support on the back right now, there is going to be some wobble room in here. So, I mean, it's possible if you're holding it vertically that you'll get some rubbing. But if you hold it vertically, you won't hear that. So we'll put our last stage back on here, or I mean our last case back on here, excuse me. And it appears we've inserted that a little bit too far over there. Again, we just work our way around, pressing it. And now we got the fan stages back together. Next comes our field coil. All your wires should face up. And now, like I said, we make sure that we get this spring back into place. It is a very important part of this. Sometimes, I found if you're having difficulty getting these to stay in place, sometimes, it's better to just insert this into here and then, like, either work this in like sideways or even upside down. But then, you'll run the risk of that field coil wanting to come loose because there's nothing to support that. So, that in place, just once again, give it a little spin. No noise. That's fantastic. So then we take these two big long screws, give it a little bit of a turn till it falls into place. There we go. So we'll tighten these down. I can't help but wonder if I can find my seating stone. Because I have a little piece of, it seems like I'm always losing that. I really should have like a set spot for it, but I have this little white thing that you use for like cleaning the, oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to grab that. So this is the commutator cleaning stone. They're quite expensive, especially if you buy a pack. I think they're like over $100. So I generally don't have a lot of them. This one I actually got from a shop. But I don't, this might sound a little bit weird, but I don't like holding on to electrical motors while they're running, because that's generally what you would do is, you would put this into a position where it's kind of safe to touch, and then you would bring this in here and actually use it to clean up the oh, that actually does not have a very good way to do this, because I mean there's not a lot of room in there, so I don't even know how you would get one of those in there. But anyways, what I was getting at is generally I'll attach like a drill to the front of it and then run it in the correct way, making sure that the fans are spinning in the correct way, while I just hold this to the commutator. And, it kind of cleans up the carbon dust that's on there, reseats the stones, all that kind of stuff. I guess, well, I mean, I suppose I could get in there if I were to hold it. Well, we'll just have to go a little bit from the side, but I think we'll do that there. And we'll get our carbon brushes back in here. Oh yeah, and you should always kind of, when you're putting the carbon brushes back in here, you want to look at them and make sure they're in the about the same position where they were before. You'll know by the black marking that's on here. You should be able to see them line up with that. Ah. And holding these in place, I guess, are self-drilling screws, which is, I don't think that's the norm, but I could be mistaken about that. I guess I don't really look at the screw types too often to know. But I always like to turn the screws backwards a little bit until they kind of fall into place. And with self-drilling ones, that's probably a good idea, so we're not, messing up the threads that are already cut into the plastic. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. If you do want to wash the field coil or the armature, you can do that, but it is best to do it. I think I heard that you should not use. Oh my God, what am I doing? Installing the holder without the carbon brush. Special moment. Anyways, you can wash them. I've heard it's best not to use any soap on them. So if I do feel the need to wash them, I'll just do it with a little bit of water, maybe a brush. Just plain water, a brush, and then they have to be like completely dry before you put them back together. Now I know someone mentioned to me that they have used what was it? Was it a heat gun? It might have been a heat gun, but don't quote me on that. Maybe a blow dryer? Cassidy is her name. She does work on rainbows, and I know she told me she used some sort of tool to clean out armatures and field coils that she had washed, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I usually just use a blower. I've got a Metropolitan vacuum, a little Omnivac actually, that I've got set up to be a blower, like for my future workbench. So I just use that. Okay. So we'll just sneak this in here. Oh. As we can see, much shinier, much cleaner looking. Actually, that's kind of hard to see on video. But yeah, it's all back together. Brand new bearings. And you will feel some resistance now that the carbon brushes are back in there, because of course they're going to be pushing against the armature, but it runs much smoother than it did before. And yeah, yeah, we're like done. Well, I have no filter cones at the moment, so. Sounds a heck of a lot better, though, doesn't it?